10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
Time
10
to go.
o'clock. Video.
Yeah, so folks, I did write an op-ed with Rachel Timoner and Matt Nosenchuk, which is in the forward, which I recommend you reading.
Oh, wow.
I think I pre-posted it. But here, who's going to be singing us in today?
I'll be singing. Hi, everyone.
Beautiful, Julia. Thank
Good morning.
you.
And I picked this because it's a revisit of a chant that we've already done back in Psalm 4. And it's a Shefa Gold, so a continuation from yesterday. And I picked it because it's been in my head and because I find it centering. And it reminds me of a teaching that a Shambhala teacher once gave to me in a group, a gentle suggestion to check in with our hearts. How is your heart doing once or twice a day? And allow that to sit for a quiet moment. Imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem. Imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem. Domu, 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 Selah, domu, 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 Selah, imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem, imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem. Domu, 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 Selah, domu, 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 Selah.
Such a beautiful, beautiful reflection for today. Thank you, Julia. And I hope you're developing this appreciation for seeing a phrase or a line taken out of a psalm and chanting it, singing it. That's very, very deep in Jewish tradition and throughout liturgy, which I will talk about, but today we're going to go back to some of your personal reflections on Psalm 6. As I said yesterday, I don't think there's anything better to do when you're feeling tumult or stress or anxiety about the world in which we live than to study Psalms. So this is a very active thing that we're doing. So thank you, everybody, for being with me and helping me. And this studying together is so meaningful. And I want to just repeat that what I said yesterday is starting on Monday, we're going to start with an extra half an hour after each class for those who want a little bit of a beginner or a slower introduction to some of the things about the Psalms. So that's going to be every Monday from 10:45 to 11:15 for those who want, who responded that they'd like a little extra something. So
Rabbi,
that's going to be, yes.
Would it be helpful if I sent an email so we know who's to expect and get
Great
questions
idea.
from them as to what
And
they
also,
want
if
to know?
people have specific questions, that would be great to get them. Otherwise, you don't need to come with a specific question. You could just come and say, I'm lost. That's fine. But if you have a specific question, for sure, come to that. Bring that. Thank you, Harold.
All right. So if we can keep it in the
who are we
same
up to?
household, Kristen has the first offering today.
Ah, lovely.
I'm going to show, it's in two parts. I'm going to show one very quickly, which is this, which is the JPS, the standard text with translation of the entire Tanakh, which is laid out in a very particular way with the number of the psalm and the use of the typeface. And this is Psalm 6 that we have been studying in the text that we have been studying. I will now show how Kristen took this typographical treatment and used it for her version, her interpretation of this psalm to make it something particularly special for us. And let's see. Here we go. Everybody see this? Okay, Kristen, unmute yourself.
I think I am.
You are.
Yeah? An appropriation of Psalm 6 from the JPS Hebrew English Tanakh by Kristen Moore. So 6, for the leader with instrumental music on the Sheminith, a psalm of Bathsheba, who was raped by David. O Lady of Light, do not punish me in anger. Do not chastise me in fury. Have mercy on me, O Lady of Light, for I languish. Heal me, O Lady of Light, for my bones shake with terror. My whole being is stricken with terror, while you, Lady of Light, oh, how long? O Lady of Light, turn, rescue me, deliver me as befits your faithfulness. For there is no praise of you among the dead in Sheol, who can acclaim you? I am weary with groaning. Every night I drench my bed, I melt my couch in tears. My eyes are wasted by vexation, worn out because of all my foes. Away from me, all you evildoers, for the Lady of Light heeds the sound of my weeping. The Lady of Light heeds my plea. The Lady of Light accepts my prayer. All my enemies will be frustrated and stricken with terror. They will turn back in an instant, frustrated.
Wow. Okay, talk to us.
So I was inspired by, who's many of y'all probably have heard of, by the artist Yael Kanarek, who created the regendered Bible, Torah, which she describes as an initiative to rewrite the Bible by reversing the gender of all the characters. So you probably noticed that I, just literally copied word for word the JPS Tanakh version of this. And I did that because it is a commonly used interpretation. And because of that, it carries a significant weight of authority. And I wanted to put that weight of authority.
Yep, that's brilliant.
In a woman's voice. So, and the woman that I chose was Bathsheba, because the Tanakh does not name what David did to her, and I wanted to name it. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to give space for her experience, which the Tanakh also does not do. And the other thing that I'm interested in doing in particular is that we know that male experience is deemed universal, that everybody can relate to male stories, but when it comes to female stories, that their experiences are deemed particular. And by just showing like that literally no other words have changed except that it's contextualized by her experience and her voice, that I'm just curious how it lands with people and how it creates different entry points for different people just by changing the gender.
And so tell us about O Lady of Light. How did you land on that?
So I was trying to think like, oh, what do I use instead of Lord? And, I was, trying to look up, my thesaurus, like what's the opposite of Lord? And my very intelligent wife, Julia, said, why are you trying to stick with that paradigm of hierarchy? Why not paradigm? And I was like, that's smart. So I thought Lord connotates masculine, but it also connotates something that is above and distant from us. So I decided I want something that's feminine, but also close. And one of the roles that I think of in our society for that are nurses, which connotates the feminine, even though there are males also who are obviously nurses. And they're also close to us in our, we're very vulnerable. And the nickname for Florence Nightingale was Lady with the Lamp, because she visited soldiers in the middle of the night to take care of them. And I thought, well, that image of being at your most vulnerable and then darkness and somebody coming in with a literal light to care for you felt like something that I could connect with much more easily than something like, Queen or, whatever the Lord would be. So I came up with Lady of Light. Yeah,
I
that's
think
how
it's fantastic. And that's exactly right. As I said at one time, one session, the language of monarchy as the language used to describe God is reflecting the political system that people found themselves. So they were using the imagery that was meaningful to them about where power existed in society. So to use this is brilliant. And also, I also love that it has the rhythm of Yud Hey Vav Hey by having 4 words to say the name of God. So O Lady of Light has that rhythm of Yud Hey Vav Hey, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
You know, just has that it evokes the Yud Hey Vav Hey, even while you're completely throwing away what has been the traditional reading of it, but there's no reason that this can't be the traditional reading. I like the alliteration of it. Also for me, it evoked a little bit of the Statue of Liberty, which was interesting. And that might just be, you know, I'm a New Yorker and the lamp and all of that. So I like that imagery in the middle of this. And I think it's brilliant to do this. Yeah, I think Yael's work is fantastic. And we had been talking about her coming to CBST before all of this happened, but maybe there's some way she could do it. Did you see her do it on Zoom?
No, but Julia is actually, Julia has a B mitzvah student right now who's this young girl who has the parsha of Adam's rib. And she was like, she did a study session with Yael because she wanted to share with this student, like, here's another way of understanding this.
Great. Great.
So just for the people who are asking questions, this is not our Yael, as much as we love our Yael.
Right, yes.
Yael Konorek, who is married to Gilly Getz, the photographer and activist, who has undertaken a project of regendering the Hebrew Bible. And it's very complex. Rabbi Rapport took us down to HUC to see it just before they closed.
Right before.
And, I don't want to spend much time here, but anyone who maybe, I will contact Yael Konorek and see what can be shared on the Facebook page.
And maybe we could even, if she's worked with Psalms, maybe she could even.
I don't think she's gotten to Psalms yet. I think she started with the Torah, but I will check with her. Yael, I guess Konorek said the JCC session is being recorded. So I will check into this because that's what it is. It's Yael Konorek, who is an artist.
Exactly, right.
And we can post her website in the chat now.
Okay, good. And one thing that I find very moving, many things, Kristen, I think this is brilliant and totally within the idea of what Psalm should be, is that you're showing, by doing this and challenging us, but also you're showing these words can reflect wherever we are in the middle of a terrible situation. And this is, as somebody by putting this in the mouth of a rape victim, you're making the words of the Psalm so powerful, but really beautiful and I love how evocative it is, and completely love it and can't wait to see what other things you do with the Psalms that are coming.
So, Sherry, if you will unmute yourself, you are our first offering today.
Second offering.
Second offering. First offering from this page. All right.
How soon we forget.
Yes, sorry. All right, Sherry, can you see this? Everything okay?
Yeah, well, it's fine.
I will make it bigger. Whoops. Go ahead. I will work on this.
Okay. This is Cell Block, Phoenix, after Psalm 6. Without melody. Punished, locked in, some for life, some years, some 8 months more. Fury spent, chastised, and now locked down. Masks on, nostrils flare from Clorox smell. No smell, no taste, red eyes itch, congested, coughing, celly, sick. Bones ache, heads pound, chests sear, drenched beds, celly dead. Calls to prayer. Rudolfo 2 cells down is dead, innocent. No one tests. How long? Pray. Sally across the way, gone. No one comes. How long? white canvas shoes, orange suits, shuffle to the shower, call mom, kids, quick, guard sick, 90 minutes done, lockdown. The holiest 10 days, pray, study, call out, reach for rescue, deliverance, not absolution, heaven knows. Is escape too much to ask? Escape to seek redemption for tomorrow, for more prayers. How long? How long till known? Groan, scream, sob. In weakness, terrified, call out. Prayers surrender. It cannot be known. Calm descends. The silent killer fails to murder faith. Turns away, how long? Undaunted voices rise. Sure they are heard.
Wow, Sherry, this is so powerful. Talk to us a little bit, and I'm very interested in the refrain of how long that you're using here. So talk a little bit about your writing of it and how Psalm 6 inspired this and whatever you want to say about it.
Well, the idea of it came because Psalm 6 starts with, don't punish me and, don't chastise me in fury. And I was thinking, well, the psalmist is already being punished because the psalmist already has this illness, this bone terror, the bone, the drenched bed. So I thought, well, really the prayer is don't further punish me. And that crystallized the idea.
That's so interesting, yes.
Of so many incarcerated right now and the outbreaks of COVID. So that's how it started. And when you talked about nostrils flaring, I thought of the Clorox smell because there's all that going on, and there's a lot of sickness, a lot of death, a lot of fear, and no one tests at state prison, and no one comes. A whole cell block can be sick and no one will come. So but I tried to follow the arc because each of these couplets is tracking in some way what we did, and the poem also describes the terror and powerlessness associated with this incarceration, whether you're guilty or innocent, the disease and the symptoms of COVID. There's a sense of powerlessness, and the idea, well, how can you find peace, and how can you find serenity? And then through prayer, this was also Ramadan, in the last 10 days of Ramadan, where there's intensive prayer, and so that's there's sort of an internal deliverance through prayer and faith, as opposed to the outside, the external enemies of the song.
Wow. This is an amazing, amazing psalm for our time, Sherry. I'm deeply, deeply moved by it, and I can see your kind of blood and tears all over it. Thank you.
Sheldon Wertman, are you on?
Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sheldon, if you're here, please unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, would you like to read your offering?
This is my interpretation, and it's only an interpretation. In my book, it said for the individuals is suffering, oppressed, sickness, or distress. This is my interpretation of number 6. King David talking to the Almighty. Yud-Hey, Vav-Hey. And he says, "Why are you angry with me?" Question mark. "What did I do wrong to have your wrath?" Question mark. "My body is shivering all over." Question mark. Why have you given your people this plague? In parentheses, horrible death, question mark. My people, myself, seek your refuge from all evildoers. We never mention Yud-Hey, Vav-Hey, and death. You hear our weeping, question mark. You hear our pleas, question mark. You hear our praise for you, question mark.
Thank you, Sheldon. First of all, you never have to apologize for an interpretation. That's what we're all doing. And that's exactly the right thing to be doing. And it's wonderful that you're doing that. So please feel empowered and not, we're all only trying to refract the Psalms through our bodies and souls and minds. And that's what makes it so powerful. So tell us a little bit about writing it. Can you speak where you are?
Yes. There's a little noise in the background, but that's okay.
Okay.
I took it straight from Art Scroll, the Book of Psalms.
Uh-huh.
I also got the new book that you talked about. I got a lot of Book of Psalms. It's, you know.
No, tell us about your writing this one, though. Anything
Well,
you want to tell us about?
I took it from 3 books. I took it from the Art Scroll. I took it from Robert Alter, and I also took it from Richard Levy. And I kind of looked at each line, and I put my thoughts about each line. They were very close. All 3 of them write very, very close. Not too much in difference.
Uh-huh.
Went to Rashi. Rashi, I thought, was off the wall a little bit. Or maybe he's more orthodox than me. So this is what he says. I don't know. But yeah, this is how I did it. And
I like very much the movement in the Psalm from small caps to capital letters that shows movement to kind of a crescendo, that these last 3 lines are you can feel by seeing it in all those caps, you feel kind of the crying out, the crescendo, and I like that very much. So you're showing, even in the fonts you're using, by beginning with caps and ending with caps, an architecture that's quite powerful, I think. You hear our weeping, you hear our pleas, you hear our praises for you. There's a nice rhythm and desperation to it that I think is reflected in the Psalm. Thank you, Sheldon, very much.
Well, because all the
Keep
books,
writing.
you know, the books.
Don't worry about Rashi. Just write what works for you. I mean, it's good to study all of them, and I do too, but don't worry about it. All right, Michael Goldstein, I think we're next.
Michael, you did not read this yesterday, correct? Michael, unmute yourself. And if everyone could check in the chat, I have an order of reading. So if you could please be ready to go when the person before you is done, it'll speed things up a little. Michael Goldstein, are you here? All right. If Michael shows up later, we will go back to his. Ben Shafran, are you here? Ben? Does anyone see Ben Shafran on the list? Okay, we can go back to Ben. I believe I did see Lori Kropman. Is Lori here? Can you unmute yourself?
I'm here. I just unmuted myself.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I hope I can read this. So I read this psalm a long time ago before we started studying it, and I was knocked over. And it reminds me that when we do these interpretations, a lot of it depends where we are at the moment. I don't know if I would have written this. Well, I wouldn't have written it before my sister died, but it so spoke to me. I read it every day. It's like my requiem to my sister, and I'm so thankful for this, because I never thought I could write anything like this. So anyway, and I'll just read it. I think it speaks for itself. For my sister, an octave with disconnected vibration and frequency. Don't yell at me for all the awful things I did to you when we were little. Don't be mad at me for not protecting you. Forgive me. I am so, so sad. My heart is broken and needs mending. My whole life I have felt responsible for your misery. How long will I remain stuck in this place now that you are gone? Release me from this place of remorse. Free me from the guilt I feel because I did not offer you enough kindness. You are dead, and I cannot hear you anymore. Dead from the hell of COVID-19. I am so tired of wishing things were not as they were. I cannot rest at night. I cry myself to sleep. My eyes are red from weeping. I'm exhausted from rethinking the past and imagining I could have been a better sister. Go away, you vain, self-pitying, useless thoughts. Something bigger than my little self hears my cries. I love you. That was the last thing I said to you. I have always loved you. I was just too busy protecting myself to protect you. Underneath it all, I know you loved me, and you know I loved you. Sigh.
Wow, Lori, this is so deeply vulnerable and honest, and something so many of us can immediately connect to. That by your putting your honest, clear voice here, unadorned, without apology, it makes it so profoundly human. So tell us, you said you found this psalm before we did, or just tell us a little bit about what that means, or...
Sometimes I read ahead. I like to
So
kind
you
of,
mean in the class, though?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
definitely class. And I like to read the psalm before we do it in class so that I have my own personal
Yeah,
reaction before I hear everyone else's.
good. Uh-huh.
And this just poured out of me. And even the comment about the octave, an octave is, a perfect, the perfect number of notes. And she was that, but she was a mess. And
Yeah.
That's just what she was. And as I said, I think it speaks for itself. I have had remorse all my life, and
Mm-hmm.
for not. I know it's not my fault. I know all that from years of working on myself. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to it, that little person inside, that feeling
Yep.
is always
Yep.
it's always there.
Yep.
And the best I could do is say it out loud
Yep.
and look at it in the face and feel it instead of resisting it.
Yep.
And once I do that, it doesn't go away, but it eases it. It's like me forgiving myself.
Yep. And putting and creating art out of pain is, it's impossible to exactly describe how it helps move through the pain, but it does. And the greatest, and let's be honest, some of the greatest art in the history of the universe has been created out of deep pain. And that's why I think in some ways art is so powerful for those of us to listen to it or look at it or read it. When it comes from the honest soul of another human being who's experienced pain, it immediately goes to the place where we feel pain. And then it's moving, and you see, wow, something beautiful can come out of terrible pain. This is beautiful, Lori. What you've created is really a thing of art, of beauty, and you're now offering to the world something that it's been a lifetime of pain to create. And that's a high, high price, but that's part of what it is to be a human being. It's just who we are. And to accept it, and then to offer this out, and to use the structure of the psalm. So my eyes are red from weeping. I am exhausted. You're using all of this energy of the psalm that's right there. Just, I am so tired. I cry myself to sleep. All of that is right from the psalm.
Right.
And I do love the italics superscription here, and to use the octave imagery is, for those of us who didn't know your sister, extremely evocative.
Right.
And I also love the sigh at the end, remembering that some of us translated Sella as sigh. So even if that's from a different, it's a beautiful, beautiful end to it. Thank you for it, Lori. You've given the world a great gift.
Sarah Siegel is next, and I would ask that the people who have read go back and look at the chat. There have been some beautiful, beautiful comments from other class members to Kristen and Lori so far. You should see them. Sarah, are you around?
I am.
Okay, it's all you.
Thanks. So just before Memorial Day, there was a Wall Street Journal article that my company was having a layoff, and I was included in the layoff.
Oh, wow.
A couple of days after that, I wrote this version, my version of Psalm 6, and we are now past the Shiva period of layoff. Here goes. When the job layoff Shiva period ends, Dolly Parton usher in the bass on the 8th day. A psalm of David Prenz's granddaughter, me. I can listen to music after this job loss. No need to wait a year to hear it, in contrast to the halakha on immediate family loss. I won't turn up my nose at my employer of nearly 30 years, or flare up or self-flagellate. I'll be a lady, though I'm ultra weak. God, help me conquer my ego and my bereavement at not getting to retire on my 30th anniversary in July. Which my wife and I had secretly planned for me. Help me get through the night. My brain on fire and my bed drenched with sweat. How does it help to demonize my management or myself? Better to express my grief here to God. My active prayer. God, help me channel the indignity of being laid off into art, into service. Help me remember that I always said I was grateful for all of the learning and colleagues and travel. Let me not give another thought to the messenger's message. Show me adventures I could not have experienced by remaining where I was. Let me smile at the thought of her deep dimples as I hear Dolly Parton sing, working 9 to 5. Amen.
Oh, Sarah, this is, again, so deep. What we're reading today, so deeply from this moment in time. This is really a psalm of this moment. And again, as true with Sherry and with Lori and with the show, by sharing so deeply something so honest and vulnerable, you're speaking on behalf of everyone. And the pain of this moment in time, forcing your layoff months, weeks before your 30th anniversary. This is, and then going right back to the so you have in this very specific, what's happening in your life, which is very specific, but then getting back to use these words of the psalm about the long nights, the brain on fire and bed drenched with sweat. It uses the language of the psalm intermixed with your own description of your life. And I loved a psalm of David Prenz's granddaughter. So to use the name David like that as well. So beautiful. So do you want to say anything else about writing it? You did say, yep.
It actually helped a lot. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Isn't this class kind of a miracle?
Oh.
I mean, we're creating such amazing, you're learning so many deep things and you're creating so many deep things.
Sarah Kleinbaum, are you on the call today?
I'm on.
All right, take
Hi.
it away. Your
Okay.
chance to share.
Conductor, lift up your arms to embrace me. Heal me. You're angry. Don't be. Don't chastise me. Heal me. Talk to me quietly, gently. Tell me how I can improve so I can better myself. Heal me. How much longer will you be angry at me? I'm shaking. Heal me. Come to me with love and empathy. Help me feel your love. Heal me. How will I see you? In death? I don't know. Heal me. I'm going in circles. My head hurts. I'm so tired. Heal me. I see so much turmoil and grief, waiting to see who will torment me. Heal me. Tormentors, go away. God heard me. Heal me. God heard my prayers and is listening. Heal me. My tormentors will hide because they are afraid and are ashamed.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I really love the rhythm of it and the repetition of heal me as the rhythm. It's beautiful. And I love that you use the 11 verses structure. Do you want to talk a little bit about writing this? And everybody knows this is my sister, everybody, if you don't already know. I'm so happy she's in the class.
You know, when you were talking yesterday about a lot of people feel like, the class is over their heads, and I felt that way. But a couple of weeks ago, whenever I wrote this a few weeks ago, I was reading the Psalm and it was calling to me. It really was calling to me.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to write it. I didn't know how to put it down on paper. And you had also said once that it's okay to write it like you sing each verse. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I heard that, I was able to write it, and it was really a very touching psalm, and it, like I said, it called out to me, and I had to write this down.
This is so great, so very clear. Your use of language is beautiful, and we could all feel it, this pleading and the hope for healing and the hope for comfort and the hope for being healed. Have you ever written a poem before?
No, that's why I was struggling.
Fantastic.
Until you had said I can, it's okay to do it in this way.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's a beautiful psalm. Really, and I love the conductor, lift up your arms to embrace me. Don't chastise. Very, very, very powerful, Dina. Really fantastic. Thank you.
Keep
it up. Keep it up.
I love the refrain of heal me, because when I see that in English, I think of El Na Rafana La.
Yes, indeed.
Very simple.
Please God, heal her.
On healing with all those single syllable words. Beautiful, Sarah.
Very, very direct. Beautiful. Keep it up.
Judy Hollander.
I think Judy's here, right, Judy?
I know that Judy is here. I saw her purple hair bobbing in the background. Judy, are you with us? Can you press unmute? While we're waiting for Judy, I also saw Michael Goldstein in the participants, but I'm not sure whether he's actually here and can unmute himself. Michael, are you here? All right, well, we'll go ahead, see if Judy shows up. Lynn Rosenbluth, I know you're here. I'm looking right at you.
You can't hide from Harold Levine.
Okay, I just want to say I am so humbled to be part of this group and listening to what everyone has written today and in the days past. It's incredible. Unmask yourself. You are everywhere. I am waiting to be found, yet my shadow falls with yours. Danger litters my way. I am vigilant. My foes multiply in wicked glee. Harness my tears, wash away my enemies. Cleanse, save, renew. I am worn and weary, and yet I sing your praises in spirit space. Shema Yisrael echo through eternity. Your sword defends me, your armor protects me. Lift your visor, let me see your face.
Wow. Would you talk a little bit about it? I just love the opening of Unmask Yourself. Boy, does that mean so much to me today, huh? That had I read that, 3 months ago, but right now that means so much. Okay, talk a little bit about this, Lynn.
Well, I used the mythical image of the knight as protector and rider of war. And alongside of that, during the highest peaks of COVID, I felt like I was part of a Shoah. I felt that we were always waiting for that horrific knock at the door of COVID coming to our home. And yet at the same time, we refused to spend all our time hiding. So Sally and I were out and about living a limited life, but a life. And I used the Shema because during the Holocaust, as we all know, many, many, many victims went in to their ends reciting the Shema. And that lives on in spirit long, in all our lives and long after we're gone.
Well, Lynn, and I also like the way the structure here also of the different verses, and then where you have you, it's also in caps, so that's a very nice play with the fonts. So everybody see this: yourself, you, your sword, your armor, your visor, your face, your praises. That is a nice emphasis on reaching out for the divine, and unmask yourself is a way of saying, God, we're feeling your absence. We know you're there, but hello, time to show yourself. We're in a place where we really need a little help here. Unmask it. So I just really love that. We unmask yourself and you are everywhere is exactly, I feel like, the human condition. There's the power is everywhere, but sometimes that power is hidden, and I am waiting to be found, and my shadow falls with yours. I really love it. So nice playing also just with those, with the fonts to make that point.
Ira.
I am here.
Hi, Ira.
Hi. Sorry, there are sirens in the background. I don't know if you could hear that. So this is my interpretation of Psalm 6. It's in 5 stanzas. Each one is its own haiku, following up through on what I was doing before. Are you angry, God? Your fury makes me tremble. My bones ache with fear. Do you hear my pleas? How long will you elude me? Listen to me now, for when I am dead, my prayers will be quieted and my songs silenced. In the dark of night, I sob into my pillow, eyes burning with grief. Cleanse my mind and heart, banish thoughts of wickedness, turn away my foes.
Beautiful. I love what you're doing with this haiku form. So would you speak about it a little, Ira?
Yeah, a little bit, because I see we're kind of running out of time. But, you know, in my Psalms 1 through 5, I was able to encapsulate it into one haiku. I couldn't do it with Psalm 6. There was just too much in it that spoke to me. So I decided just to follow the arc of the Psalm and do it in each stanzas in a haiku form. I'll speak just a little bit about, you know, you've been talking about how foes and enemies can be viewed as external or as internal. And I chose to look at the internalness of that by saying, cleanse my mind and heart, banish thoughts of wickedness in me. These are my foes. You know, that's how I chose to interpret that. So I went in that direction with that. Yeah.
And this is a fantastic example of that, of how to read the whole Psalm as our internal foes. And this experience of also, when I am dead, my prayers will be quieted and my songs silenced. Very, very powerful. Very powerful. So really beautiful. Thank you, Ira. And I love the exploration through the haiku very much.
Thank you.
Harold, do we have time for another one, or are we out of time?
Sasha Sora adjusted her work schedule so she could be here today, and it's hard for her to be here tomorrow.
Okay.
Can we get Sasha for
and then we'll
last
do the
offering?
others tomorrow. Everybody be patient.
Sasha?
Okay. Thank you for accommodating me. Scene 6.
I love that.
No, cut. No, don't worry. It was very compelling. I actually felt it down to my bones. I just wanted to give you a few notes, okay? Very minor. I mean, you are stellar in this role. Superlative. Oh, yes, absolutely. You have incredible access to the kind of vengeful intensity that causes me to break out in a cold sweat. We all do. Do you see your scene partner right now? I mean, she is literally terror-stricken. Someone please get her some water? Anyway, back to what I was saying. I mean, when you flare your nostrils, I think she is about to dissolve in a puddle of anguished tears. It is a very, very strong choice. It's just, I mean, where do you go from there? And really, I mean, take this or leave it, of course, but don't you feel like this interpretation is a little bit dated? I mean, this intense chastising of the remorseful, wayward sheep, that feels a little, how do I say, passé in our postmodern contemporary milieu. So previously millennia, give or take some millennia, you know? No, not trying to make light of a very serious speech in this scene. Well, let's drop that note and move on. It's just that you have so many awesome attributes. And I think we could really highlight some aspects of this character. They're getting a little lost in the, how do I say, atmosphere of threat. What if, instead of wielding all that vast sovereign power with an edge toward inducing mortal terror, let's just try this on. How about a little comfort? A little glimmer of protection from all that befalls your flock. You would take a strongly disappointed stand through most of the scene. After all, there needs to be some amount of rebuke toward this missing the mark sheep in order to build the tension. And then at the end of the scene, you could throw a curveball, just enough that the audience knows that with all the sternness and, you know, almightiness, there is this generosity and graciousness permeating your character's psyche, that at your core, you are willing, eager to extend yourself in mercy and kindness, tenderness, if you will, to those experiencing so much fear and pain and longing. Some hope, in other words. We all need a little hope, a little faith, really, that you have our backs, that you hold us, I dare say, with love, a love that defies naming. No, don't turn away, please. I think we are really onto something. I think this interpretation would demonstrate the infinite nature of your power so much more, well, powerfully. Yes, a love that defies naming, which really complements your character's name. Yes, exactly. Too holy for human lips, but pointing toward love so radiantly, so hopefully. A love that is bigger than any transgression. Can you try it again with that denouement? Wonderful. Let's take it from the top.
Wow, what a great director you are.
Oh my God.
So talk to us a little bit, Sasha. I know, let's just take a few more minutes. I'm sorry, folks, but we got to let's hear from Sasha before we close today.
This literally just came out of me. I don't know where it came from. It just like appeared. I was doing something else and I had to stop and start writing because I was like, ah. You know,
Isn't that an amazing feeling?
It was, I was like, oh, this is inspiration. It might be blasphemous. I might go to Sheol, but it's inspiration.
No, it's fantastic. I think that you all see this. So just talk a little bit about the inspiration. So just about.
So we had been talking.
Giving God some direction. I think it's brilliant.
We had been talking recently about Psalms as a place, like that there could really be space for anger at God.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a real part of Judaism, like
Absolutely.
a questioning of the divine. And I was thinking, it reminded me of when I first got connected to building a relationship with God that I got to define, that wasn't based on all the rules and fear and everything. And I remember being at a performing arts high school and coming to the conclusion that like my God would not mind if I danced on Shabbat. That actually, that seems to me like a pretty holy thing. And so it feels similar in a way, like my God has room for me to supplicate in a different way. Like maybe it'll slide in differently than it does usually.
Well, one day, which we don't have time for today, but I'll show you, there's a very famous Hasidic Rebbe, and we have all of, and he would write these prayers that are all kind of yelling at God and saying, you're doing this wrong. This is the, and it reminds me a little bit of what you're doing there by giving God some notes and explaining how God could do this better. But it really, honestly, it also follows the arc of the Psalm, this arc of we start in one place and we end up in another. So fantastic.
And they did throw the 13 attributes in
along
the way.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So thank you, everybody. What a offering.
What a day. Wow.
What a day.
So
unbelievable. Oh.
So we will have more tomorrow, and then I will be distributing the Psalm 7 text for those of you who want to get a little bit ahead.
And Harold, I have something I want to give you to put up tomorrow. We're going to do either tomorrow or the next day, a little bit about archaeology and King David. Just
Great.
to give some belt.
Now, Rabbi, your extra half hour starts next week. When does it
Next
start?
Monday, on Monday.
Next Monday, okay. And just a very few quick things. Yael Bat Chava has recorded Psalm 6 in all the Psalms we've read so far in Hebrew. And she and I are working to get it up on a share site, and it should be available this afternoon. I'll put it on the Facebook page. The Zoom has done an update, so if you sign on to Zoom and it says, would you like to update, please click yes.
Yes.
Because people are having problems who have not updated their Zoom. If you have the Zoom app yourself, just open the Zoom app, and on the left where it says Zoom US, come down to check updates, and it'll give you the update. Let's see, and I have
one other announcement. Everybody, I want you to stay safe. We are joining with some other Jewish groups to do a online vigil on Thursday evening, so everybody can participate in a political vigil without leaving your homes. That information will be going out tomorrow. So everybody, please stay safe, and we're doing it with a whole bunch of other Jewish social justice-y kind of groups.
And Julia, I think we could use a little calming of our hearts on the way out. What do you think?
We do.
Yeah, I thank you, everyone. This has been amazing, and I probably speak for all of us when I say that my heart feels quite open and full and glad for this experience. Imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem. Imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem. Domu, 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 selah, domu, 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 selah, imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem. Imeru vilvavchem al mishkavchem. Domu, 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 selah, domu, 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 selah.
Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow morning.